What do y'all think about Hunter's comment right here? If you each play second half basketball like that for the rest of this season, why can't we be champions?
100%.
I think we definitely can, because defense travels no matter what gym, what state, what city, where you are. Defense travels, and they can play with that defense, that level of intensity on the defense. They'll find ways to manufacture offense. We see the plethora of players that they have to do so. Whether it's Jarris, who needs more touches, or Jamal, or Marcus, or Tremont, or even Emmanuel off the bench. And so you never know. You can pick your poison, and this team is so unselfish. And Coach Sampson has his fingerprint on the pulse of the team and the players and the game. And he knows when to get players touches and when to keep riding players. And so, I mean, you got to give credit to his ability to motivate the players, because I'm sure he had some motivational things to say at the halftime. And I saw they put the camera on him during the game. I don't know if you guys caught it early in that second half. He was like, hey, we're okay. And so I don't feel like he ever felt like the game was getting out of hand or Auburn was doing something that they couldn't defend. And so, man, they definitely can make it all the way, man, for sure.
And let me flip it around a little bit. What is the reason? What do you guys think is the reason why the last few first halves, they haven't played Cougar basketball?
Go ahead, Aqib.
I honestly don't know. I think it definitely, of course, their defense. It's just the intensity of the offensive rebounding. That's like the last 8 years that Kelvin Sampson has been a coach for this Houston team. Even the national media will say this blatantly, like that they're the best offensive rebound team in the country, whether they were number 1 or 2 or whatever they were this season. Like, as a team, not even just statistically, and then just the way they attack the glass, they're the best offensive rebounding team. And if they do that, it's just night and day the way they play. That's their identity. Sampson has said this time and time again that, you know, we're not a team that's gonna make buckets on the first shot. It's gonna come down to our offensive rebound team. And I just want to say this: this second half was no fluke. All the different metrics have Houston as a number 1 team. Houston is the favorite to win the national championship when it comes to odds and betting odds. And then when you look at KenPom, when you look at the net rankings, when you look at AP poll, I know we were bumped down twice just because of that loss, but I think had Sasser been healthy and played in that Memphis game, we probably would have won. But we could have finished off the season as number 1 in the AP poll. So this is no fluke, and it's time for national media and then the haters to realize that this is a nationally relevant program. This is we could say red blood now. It's a red blood team. It's obviously not blue blood, but it's
blue collar, baby.
Blue collar. We call it blue collar. I like that too.
How about what Chuck says right here? UH plays a long game with opponents and grinds them all 40 minutes. Do I agree with that?
Yeah, I think that has a part to do with some of what we perceive as slow starts, because of sometimes offensive are just doing a good job of moving the ball and doing a good job of penetrating and executing against that defense. And like to Chuck's point, the defense and the pressure stays high and they stay with that level of intensity throughout the game. It wears them down because it forces you, and it's hard to continue to execute with someone and steadily pressuring like that. So I think that definitely has a lot to do with it. And I think it really just broke them down, and they didn't have the capabilities, because you got to have someone who can beat someone off the dribble consistently against Houston. And we've seen teams that have been able to do that, but that's what you have to do. Or you must be able to move the ball without the basketball and cut, because Houston's going to help. They're going to rotate, and they're going to force you to make the extra pass and force you to make tough contested shots. And so I think, to Chuck's point, that has a lot to do with it. But sometimes it is Houston just not playing with the level of intensity to start the game as they do throughout the full game.
And I think this team is different in a sense. They have probably more guys who can score, and at some points they kind of lean on it a little bit. And when their shots aren't going, it hurts their defense. But when they get back to Cougar basketball and just focus on defense, then they get the stops and get easier buckets, and then their offense gets easier. What do you think about that?
Yes, sometimes, oftentimes their defense turns into offense. And so I think they get energy off their defense when they're able to get the stops and get those rebounds. So sometimes it's a block. And when they do that, they get the stops. Coach Sampson's not yelling. And at the same time, like you said, they're able to create offense, get out in transition, and not have to go against a set defense. I think we can't underestimate how hard it is to execute against a full set defense, time in and time out. You got to have players like Marcus Sasser put on display on how you can get a pick and roll and you switch and he can beat your man one-on-one. He did that time after time again early in the second half when Houston needed buckets, and you need players to do that, and that's the difference. The tournament is a guards game, and just like the NBA often too, but in the tournament you got to have guards that can get busy and get buckets in opportune times, and we got best starting 3 guard lineup in the country, and we ready for anybody.